Hello everybody, my name is Minx and welcome back to my Sims 4 save file series. Be sure to like the video to let me know that you want to see more of this content. And if you're new to the channel or find yourself coming back on the regular, be sure to subscribe, you're already coming back anyways. Alright, so today we're building a starter home for an adorable couple and honestly two of my favorite Sims that I've made so far, Birdie and Mason. The first thing that you're going to notice in the video is there's quite a hard cut when building the porch, and that's genuinely because trying to use the Sims 3 camera while free building flourishes onto the bay window looked absolutely revolting. So I cut it out while I was trying to figure out what to do with the bay window because I don't want to destroy your brain and make you nauseous. But I wanted to keep the same architecture that I had in the first episode, which is that very southern, very Louisiana architecture. I do recommend going to see that video because it does explain a lot more of the vibe and the energy that I'm going for in the save file. And it goes a little bit more into the lore of the save file as well. But yeah, no, this build honestly taught me a lot about how I actually need to clutter a little bit more. Because Birdie and Mason were kind of an afterthought while building this, their personalities were kind of built alongside the house because the only thing I really knew was that I wanted a couple to live here, and that's about it. But no, so I noticed you're gonna notice in the walkthrough that there's a bit of a lack of personality, not completely, because there are a couple of things that hint at Mason and Birdie's personality, but nothing that's really definitive, and nothing that really shows that they live in the house fully. So I thought after this episode I would go back into the build and give it a little bit more personality on the interior, just to kind of make my brain a little bit happier with it, and to possibly make you happier with it if you ever decide to use this save file. But yeah, that's currently all I really have to say about the build this time, simply because I honestly yapped so much in the first episode about the entire energy and the vibe that I'm going for that I don't exactly want to repeat myself. So I'm just gonna let you enjoy the rest of the build, and I'll be back to talk a little bit more about Birdie and Mason in the creative sim. Okay, so here we are with Mason, and honestly, he kind of immediately surprised me, and The Sims 4 kind of immediately surprised me because the randomized sim that the game had given me was an almost perfect representation of what I'd been thinking of when curating his personality during the building process. I really wanted him to just be this absolute stereotypical kind of Hollywoodish dad energy. He's really just kind of a nice guy, doing what he can to provide his family and the people he loves. I had you'll probably be surprised at the aspiration I gave him. I gave him neighborhood confidant because, for one, I really didn't want his construction job, aka the manual labor career, to be his whole personality. I kind of wanted him to have a smaller aspiration other than the things to do with family as well, because I kind of always give couples the family aspiration. So I think giving him something a little bit different, same with Birdie, added some depth into what he enjoys and what his goals are. He truly does kind of want to be known around the neighborhood and treat everyone with kindness the best he can. I also went through his likes and dislikes to mildly, just to kind of make sure he loved cooking, and a couple of stereotypical southern man stuff like fishing and handiness. Now, I specifically made him like cooking because Mason, honestly, he loves hosting cookouts for the entire neighborhood and for his girlfriend, Birdie. Now, with that, with how outgoing Mason is and how much he's actually really good at grilling, they actually became pretty good friends with everybody in the neighborhood right away. Because across the street, as I've said multiple times, I'm a couple of houses ahead of this episode. There's actually a trailer park across the street with a couple of different Sims and a whole other family over there. And I imagine that's a majority of where his crowd comes from for his cookouts, because they could probably just smell it from across the street and they're like, damn, that smells good. And southern people are very outgoing. So with that, I imagine that people just kind of came to their door wondering what he was cooking. And they all just kind of became friends from that point on. But yeah, no, now we're at Birdie. She's actually kind of one of my favorite, like, calmer NPC-ish Sims so far. She is just a woman who loves to knit and loves her garden. She's a bit more introverted than Mason, but not by a lot, because she loves to help him with the cookouts that he has and loves to show people the garden she planted out the front of the house. So obviously I actually gave her the freelance botanist aspiration because she's always wanted a large yard with enough room for her to make a self-sufficient garden, growing her own fruits, her own vegetables, so that when she makes a meal, it comes out a little bit more fresh. But yeah, no, there's not as much to Birdie as there is to Mason, surprisingly. I'm really good at making female Sims when it comes to male ones, but for some reason, I've actually just kind of thought about Mason a lot more and his impact on the neighborhood. So Birdie is kind of in the backlog to get a little bit more lore to her character, but overall, she is just kind of a chill fucking lady. That's about as deep as it goes with her. She, like, at most, she just wants to have some time to herself so she can knit and talk to her plants. And honestly, that's kind of a fucking mood. I think it's why I like her so much, because I always enjoy having time to myself, and I always enjoy having time to do my artistic hobbies. I love gardening, things like that. But yeah, no, these two are just here to be cute and to love each other. And if you ever do play this save file and want to cause drama between them, I will be so upset because they're perfect. And I specifically made them not married, no kids, nothing like that. So it's a little less intimidating if a player actually decided to play them. So they could actually go through their life and stuff like that with them. But no, I'm very excited to see how they grow in my own save file version of this. And honestly, if I ever do have a legacy challenge, I hope to be best friends with Birdie and Mason, because I really would love to host a cookout with Birdie and Mason and let that cooking do all the work. But yeah, no, that's kind of all I have to say about these two for now. Enjoy the cast, and I really hope you enjoy the outro for this video. I decided to do a little bit of a cinematic outro for these. Past the player starter, of course, because there's nobody to really show off there. But yeah, no, I worked really hard on it, so I hope you enjoy it.